Something extraordinary awaits you. You've just opened your eyes in a world where you possess unimaginable power. The good news, you can do anything you want. The challenging news, your ego is about to pick a fight with the universe itself. You are Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, and right now you feel unstoppable. You've just discovered you're immortal, not just once, but in 7 different ways. Death has given up trying to claim you. Your magical staff weighs as much as a building, but shrinks to fit behind your ear like a pencil. You can transform into anything, travel faster than light, and you've never met a problem you couldn't punch your way through. Sound familiar? Maybe you felt this way after landing your dream job, going viral on social media, or finally mastering that skill everyone said was impossible. That moment when you think you've cracked the code of life itself. But here's what you don't know yet. In just a few hours, you'll meet someone who will shatter everything you believe about power, success, and what it means to truly win. You'll discover that the edge of the universe might just be the edge of someone's hand, and you'll learn why Buddha once said, "The mind is everything what you think, you become." Take a deep breath. Let your body relax as we step into this ancient story that mirrors your own journey from ambition to wisdom. Every victory you'll taste, every defeat you'll endure, every moment of awakening you'll experience, it all lives inside you right now. Are you ready to discover what happens when unlimited ego meets unlimited compassion? The answer will change how you see every challenge, every setback, and every moment you thought you had life figured out. You stretch your powerful limbs and feel something incredible coursing through your body. This is different from any morning you've ever experienced. Your muscles respond with strength that seems to bend reality itself. You are Sun Wukong, and you've just awakened to discover that ordinary limits no longer apply to you. The mountain air tastes sweeter somehow, charged with possibility. Your fellow monkeys chatter excitedly around you, but their voices sound distant now. You've crossed a threshold that separates you from everything you once were. Yesterday you were just another creature living day to day. Today you are something else entirely. Feel the weight of this transformation. It's like that moment when you first realized you were truly good at something, when natural talent met dedicated practice, and suddenly you weren't just participating anymore. You were excelling. Remember that rush, the intoxicating realization that maybe, just maybe, you were special after all. Your new abilities unfold like flowers blooming in fast motion. You can change your form at will. Become a bird and soar above the clouds, transform into a fish and explore the deepest ocean trenches, or shift into a giant and tower over mountains. 72 transformations await your command. Each one opens doorways to experiences that were impossible just moments ago. You begin to experiment with these forms methodically. First, you become an eagle, feeling your bones hollow and your vision sharpened to supernatural acuity. You can see individual leaves on trees hundreds of miles away. Every thermal current becomes visible. Every wind pattern readable like text. From this height, your mountain kingdom looks like a toy model, and you feel the first stirring of how vast the world truly is. Next, you shift into the form of a mighty dragon. Scales shimmer across your transformed skin as your body stretches to impossible length. Power flows through you like liquid lightning. You breathe, and clouds form from your breath. You move, and thunder follows in your wake. The very elements bend to your will in this form. Rain and wind answering your unspoken commands. But transformation is only the beginning. You test your speed and discover you can leap 34,000 meters in a single bound. Continents blur beneath you, like pages flipping in a book. You somersault through clouds and find yourself on the other side of the world before you can fully comprehend the journey. Physics has become your plaything. The sensation of this speed is indescribable. Time itself seems to slow as you move. You watch lightning crawl through the sky like lazy rivers of light. Falling raindrops hang suspended in the air like crystal beads. You exist in a realm of velocity, where normal cause and effect become suggestions rather than laws. You practice your movement across oceans, leaping from wave peak to wave peak so quickly that your feet barely touch the water. Dolphins surface to watch your passage with what seems like recognition. Even they, swift as they are, appear motionless compared to your supernatural velocity. You begin to understand that speed isn't just about covering distance, it's about existing in a different relationship with time itself. There's something intoxicating about unlimited capability. You remember that first taste of real success in your own life, perhaps when you mastered a difficult skill, achieved a long-sought goal, or finally got recognition for your talents. That moment, when the world suddenly seemed full of possibilities instead of obstacles. Now multiply that feeling by infinity. Your staff materializes in your hand, and its weight tells a story of power beyond measure. 17,500 pounds of pure potential, yet it responds to your thoughts like a feather, shrinking to slip behind your ear or expanding to support the heavens themselves. In your grip, it becomes whatever you need. A club, a pole for vaulting across valleys, a needle for precision work. Tools bend to will when will becomes absolute. You test this miraculous weapon against the surrounding landscape. A gentle tap splits a boulder the size of a house. A casual swing levels an entire grove of ancient trees. When you spin it overhead, the very air ignites with sparks of pure energy. The staff doesn't just obey your commands, it anticipates them, responding to desires you haven't even fully formed. You discover that the staff can extend infinitely in either direction. You point it skyward and watch it stretch beyond the clouds, beyond the atmosphere, reaching toward the stars themselves. Point it downward and it pierces through layers of earth and stone as if they were water. The weapon exists in whatever dimension your will requires. Length, weight, substance all become variables under your control. The other monkeys watch your demonstrations with expressions of awe and growing distance. They still recognize you as their king, but now there's something like reverence in their eyes, perhaps even fear. You can see them struggling to understand what you've become. The gap between your capabilities and theirs has grown so vast that communication itself becomes difficult. When you speak to them now, your voice carries undertones of power that make the very air vibrate. Small objects near you begin to levitate without conscious effort on your part. Your footsteps leave impressions in solid stone. Even your casual gestures generate winds that bend trees and scatter leaves. You're learning to modulate your presence just to avoid accidentally overwhelming those around you. This is your first taste of the isolation that comes with transcendence. When you surpass the common experience by such a magnitude, shared understanding becomes nearly impossible. They can marvel at your abilities, but they cannot truly comprehend what it feels like to possess them. You're still among them physically, but experientially you've entered a realm they cannot follow. You try to bridge this gap by teaching them some of your simpler techniques, but what comes naturally to you now requires decades of focused practice for others. What you accomplish with a thought, they struggle to achieve through intense concentration. The teaching sessions become exercises in frustration for both parties. You're speaking a language they can hear, but not truly understand. But even these incredible abilities pale next to your greatest achievement. You've conquered death itself, not just once, but in every way possible. You've learned the Taoist secrets of immortality through meditation. You've eaten the celestial peaches that grant eternal life. You've consumed pills of immortality. You've even erased your name from the cosmic ledgers of death. 7 different forms of deathlessness layer upon each other, like insurance policies against the ultimate limitation. Each path to immortality required different trials. The meditative approach demanded years of perfect stillness. Learning to separate consciousness from the physical body, you mastered the art of existing purely as awareness, untethered from flesh and bone. During these deep trances, you discovered that identity itself is far more fluid than most beings realize. The celestial peaches were guarded by beings of immense power. Obtaining them required not just strength but cunning and persistence. You infiltrated gardens that existed outside normal space and time, outwitted guardians whose job was to prevent exactly what you accomplished. Each peach contained the essence of eternal life, and consuming them fundamentally altered your cellular structure. The pills of immortality demanded the most dangerous quest of all. You had to venture into realms where even gods feared to tread, negotiate with alchemists whose understanding of existence operated on levels that made your head spin, submit to transformative processes that could have annihilated you completely if your will had wavered for even a moment. Feel that for a moment. What would it be like to know, absolutely know, that you could never truly be harmed? No disease could touch you, no accident could claim you, no age could weaken you. The fundamental fear that shadows every human life, the fear of ending, has been completely erased from your existence. You experiment with this invincibility. You leap from the highest cliff on your mountain and strike the earth with enough force to create a crater. You emerge without a scratch, laughing with the pure joy of someone who has transcended consequence. You plunge your hand into molten lava and feel only gentle warmth. You hold your breath underwater for hours, then days, discovering that breathing has become optional. You test the limits of physical damage. Allow boulders to fall on you from great heights. Walk through raging fires that would incinerate normal beings. Stand motionless as lightning strikes you repeatedly. Each test confirms what you've suspected but hardly dared believe. You are beyond harm, beyond limitation, beyond the basic vulnerabilities that constrain every other living being. You exist in a category entirely your own. More than physical invulnerability, you discover that your consciousness itself has become indestructible. You can separate your awareness from your body and exist as pure thought, travel through dimensions that have no physical substance, observe the workings of reality from perspectives that reveal its deepest structures. Death, you realize, was always just a transition from one form of existence to another, and you've made yourself capable of navigating all possible forms. Yet something stirs beneath this incredible security, a restlessness that your newfound powers cannot quiet. You pace the mountain paths, your footsteps leaving impressions in solid stone. The other monkeys look up at you with awe and reverence, but their admiration feels small, insufficient, like applause in an empty theater. This is where the story becomes deeply personal. How many times have you achieved something you thought would satisfy you completely, only to find that strange emptiness creeping in? The promotion that felt hollow after the first week, the relationship that didn't fill the loneliness you expected it to, the achievement that left you asking, "Is this all there is?" You try to fill this emptiness with more demonstrations of power. You reshape the landscape of your mountain, carving new valleys and raising fresh peaks with casual gestures. You organize elaborate displays for your monkey subjects, transforming yourself into 1,000 different forms in rapid succession. You practice your combat techniques against imaginary opponents, each movement a masterpiece of supernatural martial arts. You create challenges for yourself, setting increasingly impossible goals. Can you circle the earth in 10 breaths? Yes, easily. Can you lift a mountain range with one hand? Trivial. Can you exist in 17 different places simultaneously? Child's play. Each accomplishment brings a moment of satisfaction, followed by the immediate need for something greater. But the satisfaction never lasts. Each accomplishment feels magnificent in the moment and somehow insufficient an hour later, as if your capacity for achievement has expanded faster than your capacity for fulfillment. The more you can do, the less impressed you become with doing it. You begin to notice something disturbing. Your fellow monkeys, despite their obvious limitations, seem more content than you feel. They take genuine pleasure in simple activities. Finding ripe fruit brings them joy. Grooming each other creates bonds of satisfaction. Playing games generates laughter that echoes through the valleys. Their happiness doesn't depend on transcending anything or proving anything to anyone. Meanwhile, you possess capabilities beyond their wildest imagination, yet contentment eludes you. The paradox gnaws at you. How can beings with so little be so fulfilled, while you, with unlimited power, feel this persistent hunger for something more? Buddha understood this pattern perfectly. He taught that nothing can harm you as much as your own thoughts, unguarded. Right now, unguarded thoughts are beginning to whisper in your mind, thoughts that no amount of power seems able to silence. The whispers start small, subtle suggestions that perhaps your talents are being wasted in this remote mountain kingdom. Gentle questions about whether beings of your caliber shouldn't be engaging with challenges worthy of their abilities. Quiet observations that your monkey subjects, however loving, cannot truly appreciate the magnitude of what you've become. These thoughts multiply and strengthen. You begin to imagine what recognition from truly powerful beings would feel like, how validating it would be to have your achievements acknowledged by entities who understand their true scope, how much more meaningful your abilities would become if they were applied to cosmic purposes rather than local entertainment. You find yourself gazing upward beyond the mountain peaks, towards something you can't quite name. The sky stretches endlessly above, and somewhere beyond it lies the realm of the gods, the celestial court, where beings of light and wisdom govern the cosmic order. Surely they would appreciate your achievements. Surely they would recognize your true worth. The thought takes root with surprising speed. Why should you remain here among creatures who cannot truly understand what you've become? Your powers eclipse those of legendary heroes. Your wisdom surpasses that of ancient sages. Your immortality makes you peer to the gods themselves. So why are you still living like an ordinary being on an ordinary mountain? You begin to research the celestial realm. Through meditation and supernatural perception, you extend your consciousness beyond the physical world and observe the workings of heaven from afar. What you see both inspires and frustrates you. Beings with powers similar to yours move through their cosmic duties with casual authority. They are respected, honored, given responsibilities that match their capabilities. You watch celestial administrators managing the flow of seasons, gods directing the movements of stars and planets, immortal beings overseeing the delicate balance between creation and destruction, all of them working in harmony with forces that dwarf your mountain kingdom, all of them contributing to purposes that span cosmic scales rather than local concerns. None of them had to prove themselves worthy. None of them earned their positions through extraordinary achievement. They simply exist in their roles, accepted and acknowledged as valuable members of the cosmic order. Meanwhile, you, with abilities that surpass many of theirs, remain unknown and unrecognized. This observation breeds resentment, not sharp or angry resentment, but the slow-burning kind that builds over time, the kind that whispers about unfairness and wasted potential, the kind that suggests, "You're being deprived of something that rightfully belongs to you." This is the moment where unlimited ability meets unlimited ambition. You can feel it building inside you, not just confidence, but something harder and more demanding: entitlement, the belief that your capabilities should automatically translate into recognition, status, and respect. It's a feeling that transcends time and culture. Perhaps you recognize this sensation from your own life, that frustration when your talents aren't immediately acknowledged, when your hard work goes unnoticed, when people who seem less capable than you receive opportunities that feel like they should be yours. The voice that whispers, "Don't they know who I am?" You test your powers again, just to feel their scope. You pluck a hair from your arm and blow on it gently. Instantly, it transforms into a perfect copy of yourself. Then another and another. Soon thousands of identical monkey kings stand before you, each one possessing your full strength and ability, an army of yourself, answering to your will alone. You command them to perform increasingly complex tasks. Some reshape the mountain's geography, while others practice elaborate battle formations. A few transform into birds and scout distant territories, while others dive deep into the earth to explore underground caverns. Every duplicate performs flawlessly, each one a testament to your incredible abilities. The demonstration is flawless, but the satisfaction is brief. Even this miracle feels routine now. When you can do anything, does anything feel special anymore? It's a paradox that touches every form of human achievement. The better you become at something, the less wonder you feel in doing it. You dismiss your copies with a wave, and they dissolve back into simple hairs, but the restlessness remains. No, it grows. It gnaws at you like hunger that no meal can satisfy. You have everything, and somehow that feels like nothing. The wind carries scents from beyond your mountain realm, sweet fragrances that speak of celestial gardens where immortal peaches ripen under eternal sunlight, incense that burns in temples where cosmic beings contemplate the mysteries of existence. Music that drifts down from palaces built of crystallized starlight, all of it calling to something deep within you. You close your eyes and extend your supernatural senses beyond the mountain, beyond the clouds, beyond the blue dome of sky. You can feel them. The celestial beings who govern wind and rain, seasons and harvests, birth and death. They move through their divine duties with the casual authority of those who've never had their power questioned. They've never had to prove themselves worthy. They simply are. And why shouldn't you be among them? The question forms with crystalline clarity. Your abilities surpass those of many celestial beings. Your wisdom has been hard-won through experience and trial. Your immortality makes you their equal in the most fundamental way. The only difference is location and recognition. You begin to imagine yourself in their courts. Picture yourself contributing to the great cosmic projects that maintain universal order. Envision the respect and acknowledgement that would naturally flow from your demonstrated capabilities. See yourself finally among peers who could appreciate the full scope of what you've achieved. This is where ambition transforms into something more dangerous, not the simple desire to improve or grow, but the conviction that you deserve what others have, that your worth should be obvious to everyone, that recognition delayed is recognition denied. It's the difference between healthy confidence and toxic entitlement. You stand at the highest peak of Flower Fruit Mountain and spread your arms wide. The gesture encompasses everything you can see, forests and rivers, valleys and lesser peaks, all the way to the horizon where earth meets sky. All of this is too small for what I've become. You need a stage worthy of your capabilities. The monkeys below go about their simple lives. They gather fruit and play games and settle minor disputes. Their concerns seem so trivial now, their problems so easily solved, their entire world so limited compared to the vast possibilities that have opened before you. You feel a mixture of affection and pity for them. They love you, certainly, but they cannot understand you. Their horizons are bounded by the mountain's edges. Their ambitions extend only to the next meal or the next comfortable sleeping spot. How can such limited creatures truly appreciate unlimited potential? The decision crystallizes with the inevitability of sunrise. You will go to heaven, not as a supplicant or a visitor, but as an equal claiming your rightful place. You will present yourself to the Jade Emperor and demand recognition for what you are. Not ask for it, demand it. As you prepare for this cosmic journey, you feel something you haven't experienced in eons. Excitement, purpose, the thrill of a challenge worthy of your abilities. Finally, an opportunity to show the universe what Sun Wukong can truly accomplish. You spend days planning your approach. How to present yourself with appropriate dignity, what demonstrations of power might be necessary to establish your credentials, which of your achievements would be most impressive to cosmic administrators. Every detail matters when you're making a first impression on beings who shape reality itself. But beneath that excitement, something else stirs a whisper so quiet you almost miss it. A tiny voice that wonders if, perhaps, there's something important. You're not seeing something crucial you might be missing about the nature of power, recognition, and worth. You brush the whisper aside. After all, you have 7 forms of immortality and abilities that reshape reality itself. What could you possibly be missing? What wisdom could surpass unlimited power? These questions will soon receive answers you never expected. The mountain breeze carries your scent toward heaven. Somewhere beyond the clouds, cosmic forces are beginning to stir. Your journey toward the celestial realm will set events in motion that will test not just your abilities but everything you believe about strength, success, and what it truly means to be great. You take one last look at your mountain home. The monkeys below go about their simple lives, unaware that their king is about to demand his place among the gods. They seem so peaceful in their limitations, so content with their small world and smaller ambitions. You almost envy them, but envy is quickly overwhelmed by anticipation. Heaven awaits, recognition awaits, your true destiny awaits. Nothing in the cosmos can stop you from claiming what is rightfully yours. Or so you believe. You launch yourself skyward with the confidence of someone who has never truly been denied. The earth shrinks beneath you as you somersault through clouds that part like curtains before your passage. Each leap carries you thousands of miles closer to your destination. The celestial realm grows larger with every bound, its golden palaces and jade towers gleaming like promises waiting to be fulfilled. This is your moment, the culmination of everything you've worked toward. You can almost taste the recognition that awaits you. Finally, beings who will understand your true worth. Finally, a stage grand enough for your capabilities. The journey through the sky feels different from any travel you've ever undertaken. Each somersault carries not just your body, but your expectations, your dreams, your sense of righteous entitlement. The wind itself seems to celebrate your passage, carrying your scent ahead to announce your arrival. Birds and celestial creatures pause in their flight to watch you pass, as if recognizing that something momentous is occurring. You practice your introduction as you travel. I am Sun Wukong, the Monkey King of Flower Fruit Mountain, achiever of 7 immortalities, master of 72 transformations. The words taste powerful in your mouth. Imagine the expressions of awe and respect they'll generate when spoken before the cosmic court. The immediate recognition of your accomplishments, the rapid assignment to a position worthy of your abilities. As you approach the gates of heaven, you feel that familiar rush of entering somewhere important. It's like walking into a job interview you know you'll ace, or stepping onto a stage where you're about to deliver the performance of a lifetime. Your powers hum beneath your skin like electricity. You've never felt more ready for anything. The celestial realm spreads before you in all its impossible glory. Architecture that defies physical laws stretches in every direction. Bridges of solidified rainbows span distances that would take mortal beings lifetimes to cross. Gardens where flowers sing in perfect harmony fill the air with melodies that touch something deep in your soul. This is clearly a place for beings of exceptional capability, beings like yourself. The celestial gates rise before you, constructed from materials that don't exist on Earth. Crystallized light forms the pillars, compressed starlight creates the archway. Guards in armor made of pure energy stand at attention. Everything here radiates the authority of beings who've never had their power questioned. You pause for a moment to appreciate the craftsmanship. These gates weren't built merely for function, they're a statement of power, a demonstration of capabilities that casual observers might find intimidating. But you're not a casual observer. You're someone who understands power from the inside, someone who can appreciate the skill required to create something so magnificent. The guards notice your approach and step forward. Their expressions carry that particular look. You've seen before the polite interest of gatekeepers who assume you're lost. One of them, his voice carrying the musical tones of someone used to being obeyed, speaks first. "Halt, mortal being. State your business in the celestial realm." Mortal being, the words hit you like a slap. You who have conquered death in 7 different ways. You who possess powers that reshape reality itself. You who could probably defeat both guards without breaking concentration. Mortal being, the assumption stings more than any physical blow could. These beings look at you and see what they expect to see. Another earthbound creature, seeking audience with their betters. They cannot perceive the cosmic forces you've mastered, cannot sense the immortality that flows through your veins, cannot recognize a peer when one stands before them. But you maintain your composure. After all, they simply don't know who you are yet. Once you introduce yourself properly, this misunderstanding will be cleared up immediately. You straighten to your full height and let a hint of your true power radiate outward. The air itself seems to shimmer around you. "I am Sun Wukong, the Monkey King of Flower Fruit Mountain," you announce, your voice carrying the weight of absolute confidence. "I have mastered the 72 transformations, achieved 7 forms of immortality, and acquired abilities that surpass legendary heroes. I come seeking my rightful place among the celestial court." You let that sink in for a moment. Watch their faces for the dawning recognition that they're in the presence of someone extraordinary. Wait for the shift from casual dismissal to respectful attention. Instead, you see something that makes your confidence waver slightly. The guards exchange glances, not the awed recognition you expected, but something closer to amusement. The first guard consults a jade tablet that materializes in his hands. His finger traces down what appears to be a list. After a moment, he looks up with the sort of patient expression reserved for children who claim they're old enough to drive. "Sun Wukong," he repeats slowly, "from Flower Fruit Mountain. I'm afraid you're not on our list of expected celestial visitors. Perhaps you'd like to submit a formal petition for audience with the appropriate department." The waiting period is typically 3 to 5 cosmic epochs. 3 to 5 cosmic epochs. Each epoch represents millions of years. They want you to wait potentially billions of years for an appointment. You who could level their gates with a thought. You who has achieved what they clearly don't understand is impossible. The casual dismissal stings worse than any physical blow. You feel your first real taste of bureaucratic indifference, that particular form of institutional blindness that reduces extraordinary individuals to paperwork problems. It doesn't matter what you've accomplished if it doesn't fit their existing categories. It doesn't matter how powerful you are if you haven't followed their proper procedures. This is that moment everyone experiences eventually, when your achievements, real, substantial, impressive achievements, are met with bureaucratic indifference. When the system treats your exceptionals as ordinary, when gatekeepers who couldn't do what you've done act like they're doing you a favor by acknowledging your existence, you feel your temper beginning to simmer, not explosive anger yet, but that slow burn of someone who's being systematically underestimated. Perhaps you say, your voice carefully controlled, "You don't fully understand who you're speaking to. Allow me to demonstrate." You pluck a single hair from your arm and blow on it gently. Instantly it transforms into a perfect copy of yourself, then another and another. Within moments, 100 identical Monkey Kings stand behind you, each radiating the same power you possess. The display is effortless, casual, like someone pulling out their phone to show photos. The demonstration has its intended effect. The guards step backward. their expressions shift from polite dismissal to concerned attention. Good. Now they're beginning to understand. You dismiss your copies with another gentle breath, and they dissolve back into harmless hairs. As I was saying, you continue smoothly. I believe there may be a place for someone of my capabilities in the celestial hierarchy. You watch their faces carefully as they process what they've just witnessed. The casual multiplication of yourself, the effortless control over matter and energy, the obvious power that radiates from your being. Surely now they understand that you're not some random supplicant seeking favors. You're a being of genuine cosmic significance. The guards huddle briefly in whispered consultation. You catch fragments of their conversation. Unauthorized demonstration of power, protocol for exceptional cases, better inform the Emperor immediately. Finally, they separate and face you again. The first guard's tone has shifted to something more respectful, though still cautious. "The Jade Emperor will see you," he announces. "Please follow the golden pathway to the throne room. You will be announced upon arrival. Do not deviate from the designated route. Do not touch any celestial artifacts, and do not demonstrate further abilities without express permission." You nod graciously. Of course they have protocols large organizations always do. What matters is that your worth is finally being recognized. The golden pathway stretches before you like a red carpet, leading through gardens where flowers sing in harmonious choruses and fountains flow upward into impossible spirals. The journey through the celestial palace complex is breathtaking. Every surface gleams with inner light. Murals depicting cosmic events flow and shift as you pass, telling stories of creation and destruction on scales that dwarf entire galaxies. The very air thrums with power and possibility. This is clearly a place designed for beings who operate on cosmic scales. As you walk, you notice other celestial beings pausing in their activities to watch you pass. Their expressions range from curious to concerned. None show the immediate respect you feel your reputation should command. But that will change once you speak with the Jade Emperor directly. Once he understands your qualifications, everything will fall into place. You pass through halls where minor gods conduct the business of universal maintenance, adjusting the flow of time in various star systems, calibrating the forces that hold galaxies together, managing the delicate balance between order and chaos that allows existence to continue. The scope of their responsibilities is impressive, but not beyond your capabilities. If anything, you're overqualified for most of what you observe. The throne room approaches like a cathedral made of pure light. Pillars of compressed starfire support a ceiling that somehow contains the entire cosmos. Galaxies wheel slowly overhead, nebulae drift like celestial clouds. At the far end, on a throne carved from a single cosmic pearl, sits the Jade Emperor himself. He's smaller than you expected, not physically diminished, but somehow quieter. Where you expected dramatic presence, you find calm authority. Where you anticipated obvious power, you discover subtle strength. The Emperor watches your approach with eyes that seem to hold the accumulated wisdom of eternity. His court surrounds him in carefully arranged hierarchies. Ministers of various cosmic departments, generals responsible for maintaining universal order, advisors whose counsel shapes the destiny of countless worlds. All of them observing your approach with expressions of polite curiosity, all of them clearly wondering what sort of being has warranted an immediate audience with their supreme leader. Sun Wukong of Flower Fruit Mountain announces a herald, his voice echoing through dimensions. Seeker of position in the celestial hierarchy, wielder of the 72 transformations, bearer of 7 immortalities. You step forward and bow not too deeply. You are, after all, essentially their peer, but respectfully. When you straighten, you meet the Jade Emperor's gaze directly. His expression is unreadable. Neither welcoming nor hostile, simply measuring. The moment stretches between you. You can feel the entire court's attention focused on this interaction. This is your opportunity to make the case that will determine your place in the cosmic order. Everything you've worked for comes down to how you present yourself in the next few moments. Your Majesty, you begin, your voice carrying confident respect. I come before you having achieved what few beings in any realm have accomplished. I have transcended mortality, mastered transformation, and developed abilities that allow me to reshape reality itself. I believe these qualifications make me suitable for a position of appropriate responsibility within your celestial administration. You let the words hang in the air, allow their weight to settle over the assembled court, wait for the murmurs of impressed recognition. Instead, you hear something unexpected. Silence, complete thoughtful silence. As the Emperor considers your words, the Jade Emperor listens without interruption. When you finish, he leans forward slightly. Your achievements are noteworthy, he says carefully. Certainly unusual for one of earthly origin, the question becomes where might such abilities be best utilized? This is at the moment when your worth is officially acknowledged. You can already imagine the grand title, the magnificent responsibilities, the respect of beings who understand true power. You wait with barely contained excitement for the Emperor's decision. The Jade Emperor confers briefly with his advisors. Their whispered consultation seems to reach a consensus quickly. Finally, he looks back to you with what might be a slight smile. We have decided to offer you the position of Baimawan, he announces formally. Baimawan. The title sounds appropriately celestial. Surely it represents some significant responsibility, perhaps overseer of cosmic forces or guardian of celestial wisdom. You bow again, accepting the honor with dignity. I am grateful for this recognition, Your Majesty. What responsibilities does this position entail? The slight smile on the Emperor's face becomes more pronounced. The Baimawan is responsible for the care and feeding of the celestial horses, he explains. You will ensure they are properly groomed, adequately fed, and maintained in peak condition for the use of higher-ranking celestial officials. The words hit you like a physical blow. Celestial horses? Care and feeding? Grooming, they've just offered you a job as a stable hand. You, with powers that could reshape galaxies. You who conquered death itself. You who came here as an equal seeking appropriate recognition. Your mind reels as you process the magnitude of this insult. This is the cosmic equivalent of having an advanced degree and years of experience, walking into an interview for a senior position, and being offered an unpaid internship fetching coffee. The humiliation burns through you like acid. Baimawan. You repeat slowly, testing the words. Horsekeeper. The court watches your reaction with expressions ranging from sympathetic to amused. They know exactly what they've just offered you. This wasn't a mistake or a misunderstanding. This was deliberate. You think of every moment of preparation that led to this instant, every achievement you've accomplished, every limitation you've transcended, every power you've mastered, all of it, apparently worth nothing more than a position mucking out celestial stables. The position comes with a modest celestial stipend. The Emperor continues, as if he's doing you a tremendous favor, basic quarters in the stable complex, and the honor of serving the needs of your celestial superiors. I trust you find these terms acceptable. Acceptable. The word echoes in your mind. They expect you to find this acceptable. They expect you to bow gracefully and trot off to shovel celestial manure while they congratulate themselves on their generosity. They expect you to be grateful. You look around the throne room at all the beings who've apparently never had to prove their worth, who inherited their positions through cosmic accident rather than earning them through unprecedented achievement, who now look down at you from their unearned heights and offer you table scraps as if they were feast portions. But you are Sun Wukong. You have never accepted less than you deserve. You have never backed down from a challenge, and you have never ever settled for being underestimated. Your Majesty, you say, your voice dangerously quiet. I believe there may be some confusion. I am not here seeking employment as a servant. I am here claiming my rightful place as an equal among celestial beings. My achievements warrant considerably more respect than horse maintenance. The temperature in the throne room seems to drop several degrees. Courtiers shift uncomfortably. The Jade Emperor's expression hardens almost imperceptibly. The position of Baimawan is what we have available, he states firmly. Take it or return to your mountain. Those are your options. Those are your options. Submit to humiliation or leave in defeat. Accept being treated as a cosmic stable boy or abandon your rightful claim to celestial recognition. They're not just denying your worth. They're telling you to be grateful for the denial. This is where something fundamental shifts inside you, not just anger, though anger is certainly there, but something deeper and more dangerous. The realization that sometimes, when the system refuses to acknowledge your worth, you have to make your own acknowledgement. You feel your power stirring beneath your skin like molten gold. Your staff, still disguised as a simple hair behind your ear, vibrates with barely contained energy. Every fiber of your being screams against accepting this cosmic insult. You did not transcend mortality and master reality itself to become a celestial janitor. I see, you say slowly, your voice carrying undertones that make several courtiers step backward. So this is the respect that heaven shows to legitimate achievement. This is how the celestial realm treats those who seek to contribute their abilities to the cosmic order. The Jade Emperor's eyes narrow. He's beginning to sense that this conversation is headed somewhere he won't enjoy. Sun Wukong, he says warningly, I advise you to consider your next words very carefully. You stand in the presence of cosmic authority. Show appropriate respect. Appropriate respect? From someone who just offered you a job cleaning up after horses. The irony would be funny if it weren't so infuriating. You look around the throne room at all the celestial beings who've apparently never had to prove their worth, who inherited their positions through cosmic birth lottery rather than earning them through achievement. You want to see appropriate respect. You ask, your voice rising, let me show you what someone with my abilities considers appropriate. You reach behind your ear and pull forth your staff. In an instant, it expands to its full size. 17,500 pounds of pure destructive potential. The floor cracks under its weight. Courtiers scramble backward. Guards rush forward with weapons that suddenly seem pathetically inadequate. I am Sun Wukong, you declare, your voice now carrying the full weight of your power. I have conquered death, mastered transformation, and acquired abilities that rival those of any being in this realm. I declare myself the great sage, equal to heaven, and if heaven will not recognize my worth voluntarily, then I will make heaven recognize it. The Jade Emperor rises from his throne. Guards, he shouts, arrest this insolent creature. But you're already moving. Your staff becomes a blur of destruction as celestial guards rush toward you. Their weapons shatter against your defenses. Their formations crumble before your speed. You're not just fighting them, you're demonstrating everything they failed to recognize. This is your moment of absolute validation. Every strike proves your worth. Every defeated opponent vindicates your claim. Every shattered weapon demonstrates that you were right all along. You are their equal, you are their better, and now they know it. The battle spreads throughout the celestial palace. More guards arrive, then generals, then cosmic champions. Each wave crashes against your abilities like ocean waves against an unmovable cliff. You clone yourself into an army and fight on multiple fronts simultaneously. You transform into different shapes to counter their strategies. You wield your staff with the precision of a surgeon and the power of a natural disaster, and through it all, you laugh not with cruelty but with pure joy. The joy of finally being able to show the universe what you're truly capable of proving beyond doubt that you belong among the greatest beings in existence, of forcing recognition from those who thought they could dismiss you. 100,000 celestial warriors, that's what they send against you. An army that could conquer galaxies, and you meet them all. Not just meet them, you revel in the challenge. This is what you were made for. This is why you developed such incredible abilities, not to tend horses, but to stand as an equal among the cosmos' greatest powers. Victory tastes sweeter than celestial wine as the last of their champions falls before your might. You stand amid the wreckage of their authority and feel complete for the first time since arriving in heaven. The throne room is yours, the palace is yours. The respect you demanded has been taken by force. But even in triumph, something whispers at the edge of your consciousness' tiny voice, wondering if perhaps there was another way, if maybe the path of force, however satisfying, might not lead where you truly want to go. You dismiss the thought quickly. After all, you've just proven definitively that you were right all along. The Jade Emperor, watching from behind his overturned throne, looks both defeated and strangely sad. "Very well," he says quietly. "If force is your chosen language, then force you shall receive. But know this, Sun Wukong. There are powers in this universe that cannot be conquered through strength alone." You plant your staff in the cracked floor and lean against it casually. "Then perhaps it's time those powers learned what real strength looks like," you reply. The confidence in your voice could power stars. You have never felt more justified, more powerful, more absolutely certain of your own righteousness. The Emperor nods slowly. "As you wish," he says, then, with the weariness of someone making a decision he'd hoped to avoid, he speaks words that will change everything. "Send for Buddha." Buddha. The name hangs in the air like a challenge. You've heard whispers of this being. Some sort of teacher, they say. A philosopher who sits under trees and speaks in riddles, hardly the sort of opponent who could challenge someone who just defeated heaven's entire army. But as the Emperor's words echo through the ruined throne room, you feel something you haven't experienced in eons. A tiny flutter of uncertainty. Not fear, certainly not fear, but perhaps the first hint that your journey toward ultimate recognition might not be over yet. Somewhere beyond the celestial realm, a presence stirs sentient beyond measure, gentle beyond understanding, and possessed of a power so profound that it makes your cosmic rampage look like a child's tantrum. But you don't know that yet. Right now, you stand victorious among the ruins of heaven's authority. You have proven your worth through strength. You have claimed your recognition through force. You are exactly where you always knew you deserved to be, and you have no idea that everything is about to change. The atmosphere in the ruined throne room shifts before you see him. It's subtle at first, like the moment before dawn when darkness begins to soften without any visible light. The cosmic debris from your battle-shattered weapons, cracked pillars, defeated warriors all, seem to settle into a deeper stillness. Even the air itself feels different, expectant. You're still riding the high of your unprecedented victory. 100,000 celestial warriors lie defeated around you. The Jade Emperor himself has acknowledged your power. Your staff plants firmly in the cracked floor like a flag of conquest. This is your moment of absolute triumph, and you savor every second of it. The taste of victory fills your mouth like sweet wine. Every breath you take carries the satisfaction of vindication. Every glance around the throne room confirms what you've always known. You are a being of extraordinary capability, someone worthy of recognition and respect, someone who belongs among the cosmic hierarchy. You survey the destruction with deep satisfaction. Celestial armor lies scattered like broken shells. Weapons that could split mountains rest in pieces. Warriors who once commanded the forces of wind and storm, now groan in defeat, all of it a testament to your superior capabilities. All of it proof that you were right to demand recognition. The Jade Emperor remains behind his overturned throne, watching you with expressions that cycle between fear, anger, and something that might be grudging respect. His courtiers huddle in corners, whispering among themselves about what they've witnessed. None of them had imagined that a single being could overwhelm their entire military apparatus. None of them had prepared for the possibility that heaven itself could be conquered. Then he appears, not with fanfare or cosmic announcements, not emerging from portals of light or descending on clouds of glory. Buddha simply is, as if has been sitting there all along, waiting patiently for this exact moment, the way morning waits for night to finish its work. The change in atmosphere is immediate and profound. Where moments before the air hummed with the energy of conflict and conquest, now it holds something entirely different, a quality of presence so complete that it makes your own considerable power feel like a candle flame next to the sun. Not dimmed, but placed in sudden context. It's not that Buddha radiates power in the way you're accustomed to recognizing. There are no crackling energies, no visible auras, no demonstrations of supernatural capability. Instead, he carries something more subtle and somehow more profound. A sense of completeness that makes everything else in the room feel slightly incomplete by comparison. Your first impression catches you off guard. This is the being the Jade Emperor called for help. This quiet figure in simple robes, who radiates nothing more threatening than gentle attention. You were expecting another cosmic warrior, perhaps a hidden champion with abilities that might actually challenge you. Instead, you're looking at someone who seems more like a village teacher than a cosmic force. Buddha sits in perfect stillness, his posture effortless yet somehow containing the weight of mountains. His face holds that particular expression you've seen before, the look of someone who's completely present but utterly unattached to whatever drama is unfolding around them, like a parent watching a child's elaborate game, understanding its importance to the child while seeing the larger context the child cannot. There's something unsettling about his composure. You've just torn through heaven's defenses like paper, demonstrated capabilities that force the cosmic order itself to acknowledge your power, proven beyond doubt that you are a force to be reckoned with. Yet this being looks at the aftermath of your triumph with the same serene attention he might give to falling leaves. The defeated celestial warriors around you seem to sense the change as well. Those who were groaning in pain have fallen silent. Those who were struggling to rise have settled into stillness. Even the Jade Emperor's expression has shifted from defeat to something like curiosity, as if Buddha's presence has transformed the entire situation from crisis to something else. You feel the first stirring of something uncomfortable. No fear, certainly not fear, but a kind of unsettled confusion, where others have shown terror, anger, or desperate defiance. In response to your power, this being shows nothing, not indifference, but a quality of attention so complete, it feels like looking into still water. You realize that everyone in the throne room is now looking between you and Buddha, waiting to see what will happen when irresistible force meets what exactly. You can't categorize what you're sensing from this quiet teacher. He doesn't feel like an obstacle to overcome or an opponent to defeat. He feels like something else entirely. You decide to take the initiative. After all, you're the one who just won this confrontation. You're the one whose capabilities have been definitively proven. You're the one who has rightfully claimed recognition through demonstration of superior ability. So you say, your voice carrying the authority of recent victory. You're the Buddha everyone whispers about, the great teacher who the emperor thinks can succeed where his entire army failed. You gesture broadly at the destruction around you. I hope you can see that I've already demonstrated where true power lies in this conflict. Buddha's gaze meets yours directly. His eyes hold depths you can't quite fathom, not mysterious in a threatening way, but like looking into water so clear you can't tell how deep it goes. When he speaks, his voice carries the same quality as his presence, completely unhurried, utterly unimpressed by the chaos surrounding him. "I can see that you possess remarkable abilities, Sun Wukong," he says simply. "Your strength is undeniable, your skills are extraordinary, your determination is impressive." There's something in the way he pauses before that last word that you can't quite identify, not mockery, but perhaps a deeper understanding than you're comfortable with. The word impressive sits strangely in the air. Coming from anyone else, it would sound like high praise. But from Buddha, it carries subtle undertones that make you wonder if he's describing something different from what you think he's describing. As if he's seeing layers of your actions that escape your own perception. You notice that the defeated warriors around you have begun to stir, not with pain or anger, but with something like hope, as if Buddha's presence has reminded them of possibilities they'd forgotten. Even the Jade Emperor has emerged from behind his throne, watching the interaction with obvious fascination. The entire court seems to be holding its breath. You straighten to your full height, letting some of your power radiate outward. The air shimmers around you like heat waves. Defeated celestial warriors nearby stir uncomfortably, but Buddha remains perfectly still, neither impressed nor concerned. It's like trying to intimidate a mountain. "My abilities speak for themselves," you reply, gesturing at your conquered opponents. "I have transcended every limitation, overcome every obstacle, defeated every challenger. I have declared myself the great sage, equal to heaven, and proven that declaration through strength. What more demonstration could possibly be needed?" Buddha nods thoughtfully, as if genuinely considering your words. "Indeed, your accomplishments are remarkable," he agrees. "Tell me, though, having proven your strength so thoroughly, having defeated such overwhelming odds, having claimed the recognition you sought, do you feel complete now?" The question hits you strangely. Complete? Of course you feel complete. You've achieved everything you set out to accomplish. You've forced heaven itself to acknowledge your worth. You stand victorious over challenges that would have crushed lesser beings. What could be more complete than total victory? And yet, as you open your mouth to respond with absolute certainty, something gives you pause. That tiny restlessness that drove you to heaven, in the first place, it gone. That hunger for recognition and validations, it truly been satisfied? Or do you find yourself already wondering what comes next? What greater challenge might await? What higher mountain remains to be climbed? The pause stretches uncomfortably as you examine your own inner state. The victory feels magnificent, certainly, but underneath the triumph, something still stirs a whisper of what now, that you hadn't expected, a sense that perhaps this achievement, like all the others, might not provide the lasting satisfaction you anticipated. You become aware that the entire throne room is watching this internal struggle play out on your feces celestial court. The defeated warriors, even the Jade Emperor himself, fall, waiting to see how you'll respond to Buddha's simple question. The silence stretches like a held breath. You shake off the moment of uncertainty. "I have achieved exactly what I intended," you state firmly. "I have proven my worth and claimed my rightful place. Any incompleteness you might perceive is simply the natural desire of a superior being to continue growing and achieving." Buddha's slight smile carries no judgment, only a kind of gentle recognition. "Ah," he says softly, "the desire to continue growing, I understand. Tell me, Sun Wukong, in all your remarkable journeys, in all your incredible transformations, have you ever encountered a boundary you could not cross?" Now, this is more like a direct challenge to your capabilities. Finally, something you can address with confidence. "No," you answer without hesitation. "There is no limitation I have not overcome, no boundary I have not transcended, no obstacle I have not conquered. I have literally traveled to the ends of existence and back." The memory of that journey fills you with renewed confidence. Your cosmic travels beyond all known limits, your ventures into realms that even gods dare not explore, your repeated demonstrations that conventional boundaries simply don't apply to beings of your caliber. You elaborate on your greatest journey. How you traveled faster than light itself, moving through dimensions where normal physics held no sway, how you passed, beyond the edges of known galaxies, beyond the reach of cosmic forces, beyond the influence of time and space themselves, how you discovered realms where existence itself took forms that defied comprehension. Fascinating. Buddha muses, and you catch that same gentle amusement in his tone. The ends of existence. That must have been quite a journey. I'm curious, when you reach those ultimate boundaries, what did you find there? You feel your confidence surge. This is familiar territory, describing your achievements, demonstrating your capabilities. I found the pillars that hold up the cosmos. You explain proudly. 5 enormous columns stretching from the ground to infinity, marking the absolute edge of everything that exists. I marked my presence there, claimed the achievement, proved that even the ultimate boundaries could not contain me. You describe the journey in vivid detail, the sensation of traveling at speeds that bent space and time, the awe of witnessing cosmic structures so vast they defied comprehension, the satisfaction of reaching destinations that existed beyond the imagination of ordinary beings, the triumph of proving that no limit could constrain your exploration. The pillars themselves, you explain, were unlike anything in normal existence, pink and massive beyond description. Each one wider than entire solar systems, they stretched upward beyond the reach of vision, supporting the very fabric of reality itself. Standing among them, you felt the weight of cosmic responsibility, the profound significance of being the first and only being to reach such ultimate boundaries. Buddha listens with the complete attention of someone genuinely interested in your story. When you finish, he nods appreciatively. Remarkable, he says, to travel so far, to push beyond every known limit. That shows extraordinary determination. I wonder though, having accomplished such an incredible feat, might you be interested in a small demonstration? A demonstration, your interest sharpens. Perhaps this quiet teacher has some hidden abilities after all. Perhaps hell finally show you the kind of power that warranted the Jade Emperor calling for his help. You've been curious about what this supposedly great being could actually accomplish. You glance around the throne room, noting how the assembled court leans forward with anticipation. Even the defeated warriors seem interested in what Buddha might demonstrate. The Jade Emperor watches with obvious fascination, as if he too wants to see what his last resort can actually do. What sort of demonstration, you ask? Your tone carefully neutral. You're not about to be impressed easily, not after what you've achieved, but you're willing to observe whatever this Buddha thinks might be worth your attention. Buddha extends his right hand in a gesture, so casual it seems almost absurd, palm up, fingers relaxed. Nothing more threatening than someone offering to shake hands, I hear. You're quite powerful, he says with that same unhurried calm. Your speed in particular seems extraordinary. Tell me, do you think you could escape from my palm? You stare at him for a moment, certain you must have misheard. Escape from his palm? His hand is maybe a foot wide. You who can travel 34,000 miles in a single somersault. You who have journeyed to the edges of existence itself. You who move faster than thought and cover distances that span galaxies. The question is so absurd you almost laugh out loud. This must be some sort of test of your patience, or perhaps a riddle with hidden meaning. But Buddha's expression remains perfectly serious, perfectly patient. He's actually asking if you can escape from a human-sized hand. You look more closely at the extended palm. It appears completely ordinary normal skin, natural lines, no visible energy or supernatural enhancement. If anything, it looks smaller and more delicate than your own hands. The idea that this could pose any sort of challenge to your cosmic capabilities seems genuinely ridiculous. You hear muffled sounds from the court. Some of the celestial beings are exchanging glances, a few seem to be suppressing smiles. Clearly, they're as bewildered by Buddha's challenge as you are. The Jade Emperor looks frankly puzzled, as if wondering whether his final gambit has lost his mind. "Are you serious?" you ask, unable to keep a note of amusement from your voice. "You want to know if I can escape from your palm? I've traveled beyond the pillars of creation. I've crossed distances that would take light eons to traverse. Your palm is—" You pause, searching for an adequately dismissive comparison. "Your palm is like asking if I can step over a pebble." Buddha nods with apparent understanding. "I see why you might find the challenge modest." He agrees. "Still, humor me. Sometimes the smallest tests reveal the most interesting truths. What do you say? Would you be willing to demonstrate your remarkable speed one more time?" There's something in his tone that catches your attention, not mockery or condescension, but a kind of gentle invitation, as if he's offering you a gift rather than issuing a challenge. The whole situation feels surreal. Here you stand in the ruins of Heaven's army, having just proven your superiority over cosmic forces. And this quiet teacher wants to play some sort of children's game with his hand. You consider the implications. This is clearly some sort of lesson or demonstration. Perhaps Buddha wants to illustrate a point about the nature of power or limitation. Perhaps he's testing your willingness to engage with seemingly trivial challenges. Perhaps he genuinely doesn't understand the scope of your abilities and needs a direct demonstration. You glance around the throne room one more time. Every eye is focused on this interaction, the entire celestial court, waiting to see whether you'll accept such an apparently ridiculous challenge. Some seem to expect you to refuse with disdain, others appear curious about what might happen if you accept, but why not? It will take all of 3 seconds to demonstrate once again the vast scope of your abilities, and perhaps afterwards, this Buddha will finally understand the magnitude of what he's dealing with and offer you the respect that everyone else has been forced to acknowledge. "Very well," you say, your voice carrying the patient tone of someone indulging a child's request. "I'll demonstrate my speed one more time. Though I should warn you, once I begin moving at full velocity, you may not even be able to track my movement. I'll be gone and back before you can blink." Buddha smiles that gentle smile and extends his palm a little further. "I'll do my best to keep up," he says mildly. "Please." Whenever you're ready, you take a deep breath and center yourself, not because the challenge requires any significant effort, but because you want this demonstration to be flawless. You want Buddha to witness the full scope of your capabilities. You want him to understand why beings across the cosmos speak your name with awe. You examine Buddha's palm one more time. It really is remarkably ordinary warm, slightly textured with the natural patterns of skin. No hidden energies, no concealed powers, no suggestion of anything beyond normal human flesh. The contrast between this mundane surface and your cosmic capabilities makes the challenge feel almost comical. The court watches in complete silence as you prepare. Even the defeated warriors have propped themselves up to observe this strange contest. The Jade Emperor leans forward on his throne, clearly fascinated despite himself. Everyone seems to understand that something significant is about to happen, even if they can't imagine what. You leap into Buddha's palm with the confidence of someone performing a routine exercise. The surface beneath your feet feels perfectly ordinary warm, slightly textured, completely unremarkable. You take one brief moment to appreciate the vast difference in scale between your cosmic abilities and this tiny arena. Then, you launch yourself skyward with every ounce of power you possess. The sensation is pure exhilaration. You rocket upward and outward at speeds that turn the universe into a blur of color and light. Galaxies streak past you like raindrops on a window. Stars become threads of light stretching into infinity. You're moving so fast that time itself seems to bend around your passage. This is what you were made for, this moment of absolute freedom, of unlimited capability unleashed without restraint. Every somersault carries you millions of light years further from Buddha's palm. Every second of flight proves once again that no boundary can contain you. You are speed incarnate, power unleashed, possibility without limits. The cosmos spreads before you in all its infinite glory. Spiral galaxies rotating in stately cosmic dances, nebulae painting space with colors that have no names. Black holes warping reality around their event horizons, all of it streaming past as you push toward the ultimate boundaries of existence itself. You fly for what feels like hours past nebulae that paint the cosmos in impossible colors, through stellar nurseries where new stars struggle toward birth, beyond the gravitational fields of massive black holes that warp space and time around their hungry mouths. Each landmark confirms that you're moving far beyond anything that could be called a palm. The journey becomes meditative in its vastness. You settle into the rhythm of cosmic travel, each somersault carrying you deeper into the unexplored reaches of existence. This is where you belong, not bound by the petty limitations of form or proximity, but free to explore the infinite reaches of reality itself. You pass through regions of space where physics operates according to different rules, dimensions where time flows backward, realms where matter and energy exist in states that defy comprehension, zones where the very concepts of distance and direction become meaningless. Yet still you travel, your supernatural abilities allowing you to navigate impossibilities with ease. You encounter cosmic phenomena that would drive lesser minds to madness. Storms of pure thought that rage across dimensional boundaries, rivers of liquid time that flow between universes, forests of crystallized music that sing the songs of creation itself, all of it a testament to the vast scope of existence and your unique ability to experience it firsthand. And then, in the distance, you see them. 5 massive shapes rising from the cosmic horizon like pillars supporting the universe itself, pink and enormous, stretching from some unimaginable foundation all the way up into the endless reaches of space. Your heart leaps with recognition and triumph. The pillars of creation, the absolute boundaries of existence. You've done it again. You've traveled beyond every possible limitation, reached the very edges of what is possible. Buddha's palm was indeed no more challenging than stepping over a pebble. Less than that. It was like stepping over a grain of sand. You approach the first pillar with the satisfaction of someone who has just proven a point beyond any possible doubt. The cosmic column rises before you, its surface stretching beyond sight in both directions. This is the edge of everything. This is the boundary beyond which nothing exists. And you've reached it as easily as if you were taking a casual stroll. But reaching the edge isn't quite enough. Not this time. You want Buddha to understand not just that you escaped his palm, but how thoroughly, how completely, how magnificently you surpassed his small challenge. You need proof that will make your achievement undeniable. You pull out your brush and approach the surface of the first pillar. The cosmic stone accepts your writing implement as you carefully inscribe, Sun Wukong, the great sage, equal to heaven, was here. Each character flows with artistic precision, your signature on the very edge of existence itself. But even that feels insufficient. Anyone could claim to have written something like that. You need proof. That's more personal, more unmistakably yours. So you do what creatures have done since time immemorial when claiming new territory. You mark it in the most primitive, undeniable way possible. The act feels both crude and profoundly satisfying. Let Buddha explain away this evidence. Let him try to deny that you've not only escaped his palm, but traveled so far beyond it that you've reached the literal edges of existence. No being in the cosmos has ever accomplished what you've just demonstrated. The journey back feels triumphant. Every somersault carries you toward a victory that will be remembered for eternity. You've not only met Buddha's challenge but exceeded it so completely that the comparison becomes absurd. He asked if you could escape his palm. You've traveled to the edges of creation itself. The ruins of the celestial throne room materialize around you as you complete your return journey. Buddha sits exactly where you left him, his palm still extended, his expression unchanged. If he's impressed by your achievement, he's hiding it well, but the evidence speaks for itself. You land in his palm with the biggest grin of your immortal existence. "Done," you announce, your voice ringing with absolute confidence. "I flew to the pillars at the edge of existence. I marked my territory. I even left my signature. I trust this adequately demonstrates that your challenge was, shall we say, less demanding than you might have hoped." Buddha looks at you with that same gentle attention. "Really?" he asks, his tone carrying nothing but polite interest. "You traveled to the edge of existence. How remarkable. I'm curious, what exactly did you write on those cosmic pillars? You can barely contain your satisfaction. This is the moment of absolute vindication. Sun Wukong, the great sage equal to heaven, was here, you recite proudly. Clear proof that I reached the ultimate boundaries and claimed them in my own name. As for the other evidence, well, I believe that speaks for itself." Buddha nods thoughtfully. "Fascinating," he murmurs. "You know, it's interesting that you should mention that particular inscription. Would you mind if I showed you something?" Before you can respond, Buddha, slowly you can feel your confidence beginning to crack like ice in spring. Sunlight raises his right hand and turns it over there. On his middle finger, written in your own careful handwriting, are the words, "Sun Wukong, the great sage, equal to heaven, was here." And at the base of his thumb, that unmistakable scent you'd been wondering about during your journey back. The pillars at the edge of existence, the cosmic columns that mark the boundaries of all reality, the ultimate limits of the universe itself, they were Buddha's fingers. The world stops. Not metaphorically. Not in the poetic sense that people use when they're surprised literally, completely. Your entire reality grinds to a halt like a cosmic machine that's just lost its power source. Everything you thought you knew about yourself, about your capabilities, about the very nature of existence itself, crumbles like a sandcastle touched by an infinite tide. You stare at Buddha's middle finger, at your own handwriting, at the undeniable proof that what you experienced as the ultimate journey beyond all boundaries was actually nothing less than nothing. A cosmic joke played out on a scale so vast you can't even begin to comprehend its implications. The inscription sits there, mocking you with its familiarity. Every stroke of the brush exactly as you remember making it, every character precisely as you intended. Your signature achievement, your proof of transcendence, your evidence of capabilities beyond the cosmic order itself, written on a finger. Your mind races through the implications like water through a broken dam. If the pillars were fingers, then everything you experienced during that cosmic journey, the vast distances, the impossible speeds, the transcendence of physical laws, all of it happened within the space of a hand. All of it contained within boundaries you never even perceived. "No," you whisper, the word escaping before you can stop it. Your voice sounds strange in your own ears, hollow and distant. That's not possible. I traveled for hours. I saw galaxies. I passed through stellar formations. I reached the actual edge of existence." Buddha's expression holds nothing but gentle, compassionate triumph. No smugness, no satisfaction at having proven his point, just the infinite patience of someone watching a beloved student discover a difficult truth. "You did travel," he confirmed softly. "Your experience was real. Every sensation you felt, every sight you witnessed, every moment of that journey happened exactly as you remember it." This somehow makes it worse. If he had told you it was all illusion, all trickery, you could have fought against that, you could have denied it, argued with it, found some way to maintain your sense of reality. But he's not denying your experience, he's confirming it, while simultaneously revealing its true context. You feel like someone who has just discovered that their entire life has been a stage play, that the vast world they thought they inhabited was actually a theater set. that the epic adventures they experienced were performed within the confines of a small room. The experience was real, but the scale was completely different from what you believed. But the pillars, you say, your voice growing smaller, the edge of the universe, the cosmic boundaries. I saw them, I touched them, I marked them. Buddha gently flexes his fingers, and you watch the movement with the horrible fascination of someone seeing their entire worldview collapse in real time. Yes, he agrees, you did. And your journey was remarkable. Your speed was extraordinary. Your determination was admirable. You traveled exactly as far as your understanding could take you. As far as your understanding could take you. The words hit like a physical blow. Not as far as your power could take you. Not as far as your abilities could carry you, as far as your understanding allowed. Which means, I never left your palm, you say, the realization emerging like a confession. Not even close to leaving all that distance, all that speed, all that cosmic travel. I was never outside the space of your hand, you never left my palm, Buddha confirms, his voice carrying the gentleness of rain on summer leaves. There's no judgment in his tone, no condescension, just simple, devastating truth. The implications crash over you like ocean waves. Every assumption you've made about your capabilities, every belief you've held about your place in the cosmic order, every certainty you've built your identity around, all of it, based on a fundamental misunderstanding of scale, of reality, of what power actually means. You think about every moment of pride you've felt, every achievement you've celebrated, every time you've looked down on others as lesser beings who simply couldn't understand your level of accomplishment. The taste in your mouth turns bitter as old medicine. The celestial court watches this revelation unfold with expressions ranging from awe to sympathy. Some of the defeated warriors are sitting up now, no longer focused on their wounds, but on the profound teaching taking place before them. Even the Jade Emperor has stepped out from behind his throne, drawn by the magnitude of what's being revealed. You realize that everyone in the room is witnessing your fundamental assumptions about reality being dismantled, your cosmic arrogance being exposed as cosmic ignorance, your claims of transcendence being revealed as evidence of limitation. The humiliation should be unbearable, but somehow it's not, it's something else entirely. How, you ask, though you're not sure you want to know the answer. How is this possible? My powers are real, my abilities are genuine, I defeated heaven's entire army, I've transcended death itself. How can all of that be this small? Buddha's smile carries depths of understanding that make your head spin. Your powers are indeed real, he assures you. Your abilities are genuine, your achievements are substantial. But Sun Wukong, what you've discovered isn't that your capabilities are small. What you've discovered is that existence is unimaginably vast. Existence is unimaginably vast. The words echo in your mind like stones dropped into an endless well. You've been thinking of yourself as someone who had reached the limits of what's possible, when in reality, you haven't even begun to glimpse the true scope of possibility itself. It's like spending your entire life thinking you were the strongest person in the world, because you could lift more than anyone in your village, only to discover that your village was actually a sandbox. And there's an entire universe of strength beyond anything you've ever imagined, except worse. Because it's not just about strength, it's about everything. Your entire sense of reality has been revealed as a tiny corner of something infinitely larger. You look around the throne room with new eyes, the celestial warriors you defeated, the cosmic architecture you admired, the Jade Emperor himself, all of it suddenly seems different. Not smaller or less impressive, but placed in a context so vast that the categories of big and small lose their meaning. But I felt so capable, you say, your voice barely above a whisper. I felt like I could do anything, like I had transcended every limitation, like I was equal to any power in the universe. And those feelings were genuine, Buddha responds. Within the scope of your understanding, You had transcended every limitation you could perceive. You had become equal to every power you could conceive. Your error wasn't in your achievements. Your error was in believing that your perception encompassed all of reality. This is the moment that every spiritual seeker eventually encounters, the moment when the ego's carefully constructed sense of specialness, of advancement, of spiritual achievement meets the infinite vastness of what actually is. It's humbling in a way that goes beyond embarrassment or shame. It's existentially humbling, a humility that reaches down to the very core of what you thought you knew about yourself. You remember every conversation where you've dismissed others as limited, every moment when you felt superior because of your achievements, every instance where you've assumed that your advanced capabilities meant you understood more than those around you, all of it based on the same fundamental error that just shattered your cosmic journey. You remember every moment of confidence you felt, every time you've looked at other beings and thought them limited, small, unable to understand your level of development. Every instance of pride in your accomplishments, all of it, based on the assumption that your achievements placed you at, or near the top of some cosmic hierarchy. Buddha once taught that in the sky, there is no distinction of east and west. People create distinctions out of their own minds, and then believe them to be true right now. You're discovering that every distinction you've made between yourself and others, every hierarchy you've imagined, every sense of superiority you've cultivated was created by your own mind, and you believed it to be true. The silence in the throne room is profound, not empty, but full of potential, as if everyone present is witnessing the birth of understanding. You can feel the weight of this moment settling over the assembled court, the recognition that something fundamental has just shifted in the cosmic order. So, what am I, you ask? The question emerging from somewhere deeper than conscious thought. If all my achievements, all my power, all my transcendence amounts to movement within your palm, then what am I actually? Buddha's gaze holds yours with the steadiness of starlight. You are exactly what you have always been, he says gently. A being with remarkable capabilities and genuine achievements, a consciousness capable of growth, learning, and awakening. Someone with the potential for wisdom that matches your power. Potential for wisdom. The phrase hangs in the air like a lifeline. Not wisdom itself, but the potential for it, which means you're not there yet, which means everything you thought you understood was just the beginning. You feel something fundamental shifting inside you, not breaking, but reorganizing like a kaleidoscope, being turned to reveal a completely new pattern made from the same pieces. Your abilities are still there, your achievements still real, but their meaning has transformed entirely. I don't understand, you admit, and the admission feels like the first honest thing you've said in eons. I thought I had figured it out. I thought I had transcended the limitations that bind other beings. I thought I had earned my place among the greatest powers in existence. How can all of that be wrong, and yet somehow not make me nothing? Because achievement and understanding are not the same thing, Buddha explains. You have achieved remarkable things, but achievement without understanding is like building a magnificent palace on sand. It looks impressive, it feels solid, it seems permanent, until the tide comes in, the tide. You realize, that's what this moment, the tide of reality coming in to meet your carefully constructed palace of self-importance. And just like a real tide, it's not malicious or punishing, it's simply natural, inevitable, the way things actually are behind all your assumptions about how they should be. You feel something breaking inside. You're not breaking like destruction, but breaking like an eggshell when new life is ready to emerge. Every certainty you've held about yourself, every definition of success you've accepted, every measure of worth, you've applied all of it, cracking open to reveal something you can't yet see clearly. The court continues to watch in respectful silence. You realize that your transformation is not just personal, it's affecting everyone present. The defeated warriors no longer look defeated. They look thoughtful, contemplative, as if your experience has reminded them of their own journeys toward understanding. "I've been so proud," you whisper, the words carrying a weight that seems to compress your entire being. "So convinced of my own importance. So certain that my abilities made me special, made me better, made me worthy of recognition and respect. And what's wrong with wanting recognition?" Buddha asks gently, what's wrong with taking pride in genuine achievement? What's wrong with knowing your own worth? The question surprises you. You expected condemnation for your pride, criticism for your arrogance. Instead, Buddha seems to be suggesting that the problem isn't the wanting itself. So what is the problem? You sit with the question, feeling into your own experience, examining the difference between the pride you felt and the recognition you sought, tracing the path from legitimate accomplishment to toxic entitlement, following the thread from healthy confidence to cosmic arrogance. I think you say slowly, working through the realization. As you speak, I think I confused my worth with my superiority. I thought being valuable meant being better than others. I thought recognition meant acknowledgement of my specialness rather than appreciation of my contributions. I thought achievement was supposed to set me apart rather than connect me to the whole. Buddha nods with the satisfaction of a teacher whose student has just grasped a crucial point. "And now," he asks, "what do you think?" Now, you look around at the ruined throne room, at the defeated celestial warriors, at the evidence of your magnificent rampage through heaven's authority. All of it suddenly seems different. Not meaningless, but meaningful, in a way you hadn't understood before. Now I think you say carefully that I've been playing a game without understanding the rules. I've been keeping score in a competition that doesn't actually exist. I've been trying to win at something that can't be won because it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what the game actually is. And what do you think the game actually is? Buddha asks. You're quiet for a long moment, feeling your way toward an answer that seems to exist just beyond the edge of your current understanding. The throne room holds its breath around you. Even the air seems to wait for your response. I think you say, finally, that there is no game. I think there's just being and learning and growing, and maybe helping others do the same. But not to be better than them, just to be more fully what we actually are. The words feel strange in your mouth, like speaking a language you're just beginning to learn, but they also feel true in a way that your previous certainties never quite did. Less solid, perhaps, but more honest. Buddha's smile deepens. Sun Wukong, he says, and there's something like fondness in his voice. You have just taken your first real step on the journey toward wisdom. Everything you've accomplished before this moment has been preparation. This moment, this willingness to let your old understanding die so that new understanding can be born. This is where your true journey begins. Your true journey begins. The phrase should feel encouraging, but mostly it feels overwhelming. If everything you've achieved so far has just been preparation, then how vast is the journey that lies ahead? How much don't you know? How much do you still need to learn? But even as those questions arise, you feel something unexpected. Relief. For the first time in longer than you can remember, you don't have to pretend to have all the answers. You don't have to maintain the exhausting fiction of being superior to everyone around you. You can simply be someone who is learning, someone who is growing, someone who still has room to become more than they currently are. The Jade Emperor steps forward, his expression transformed from fear and anger into something like wonder. Sun Wukong, he says quietly, I owe you an apology. When you first came to heaven, I saw only your ego and missed your potential. I responded to your demands with dismissal instead of engaging with your genuine capabilities. Perhaps, if I had been wiser, this lesson could have been learned more gently. You look at the Emperor with new eyes, his earlier dismissal. his offer of the horsekeeper position, his resistance to your demands, all of it suddenly seems different. Not malicious or ignorant, but perhaps protective. Perhaps he saw something you couldn't see about the danger of unlimited power without unlimited wisdom. Your Majesty, you reply, and the respect in your voice is genuine now rather than strategic. You gave me exactly what I needed, even if it wasn't what I wanted. Sometimes the greatest gifts look like obstacles until wisdom reveals their true nature. What happens now, you ask? The question comes out quieter than you intended, almost vulnerable. It's been so long since you've asked a question from a place of genuine not knowing rather than testing or challenging. Buddha's response surprises you once again. What do you think should happen now? He asks in return. You've just discovered that your understanding of reality was far smaller than reality itself. You've learned that your achievements, while real, were based on incomplete perception. You've experienced the humility of recognizing how much you don't know. What seems appropriate as a next step? You consider the question seriously, not trying to give the right answer or impress anyone with your insight, just honestly exploring what feels true in this moment of newfound uncertainty. I think, you say slowly, that I need to learn how to be still. I've been moving so fast, achieving so much, proving so many things. But I don't think I've ever really stopped to understand what any of it meant. Maybe I need to learn how to be quiet long enough to actually listen to something other than my own voice telling me how special I am. Buddha nods with something that looks like deep satisfaction. Stillness, he agrees, the most difficult achievement for beings like yourself, beings with great power and restless minds. But perhaps the most necessary. You feel the truth of that observation settling into your bones. Stillness. When was the last time you were truly still? Not just physically motionless, but mentally quiet, emotionally calm, spiritually at rest. You can't remember. Maybe you've never been still in that way. Maybe that's what you've been running from all along. Will you teach me, you ask, and the humility in your own voice surprises you. Will you show me how to be still? Buddha's eyes twinkle with something that might be amusement. Wukong, he says gently, you are about to teach yourself, simply going to provide you with the perfect classroom, and with that, everything changes once again. Buddha turns his hand over with the same gentle patience has shown throughout your entire encounter. There's no violence in the movement, no anger or punishment, just the natural consequence of a lesson that must be learned through experience rather than explanation. Those same fingers that you mistook for the pillars of creation begin to transform not magically or dramatically, but with the quiet inevitability of sunrise. They grow and solidify, becoming stone and earth and the weight of ages. What was once flesh becomes mountain. What was once palm becomes valley. What was once the space you couldn't escape becomes the place where you will learn what escape actually means. You feel yourself being pressed down, not crushed, but held. The mountain settles over you like a blanket made of granite and time. Your body, so accustomed to movement and transformation, finds itself unable to shift, unable to flee, unable to do anything but be exactly where it is. The weight is unlike anything you've ever experienced, not just physical pressure, but the weight of cosmic inevitability. The mountain doesn't impose itself upon you through force, it simply exists, and your existence must now accommodate that reality. For the first time since achieving your powers, you encounter something that cannot be overcome through effort or cleverness. You test the boundaries of your confinement. Your fingers can move slightly, enough to feel the texture of stone. Your breathing continues unimpeded. Immortality has its advantages, but any attempt at larger movement meets the immovable reality of mountain. You're held but not harmed, confined but not tortured. At first, you struggle. Of course you struggle. Every instinct screams against this limitation. You push against the stone with all your supernatural strength. You attempt your 72 transformations, seeking a form that might slip free. You call upon every technique you've mastered, every power you've developed, every ability that has served you so well. Your staff responds to your mental call, but even its legendary power finds no purchase against this weight. You try to expand it, to use its growth to lift the mountain, but the stone simply accommodates whatever size it becomes. You try to shrink it to needle size and slip through cracks, but discover there are no cracks large enough for escape. You try transforming into the smallest possible forms a mouse, a spider, even a grain of sand. But the mountain's weight adjusts to each transformation, always maintaining just enough pressure to hold you without causing damage. It's as if the stone itself understands your capabilities and responds accordingly. Nothing works, not because your powers have abandoned you, but because this isn't the kind of problem that power can solve. The mountain doesn't oppose your strength, it simply absorbs it, like trying to punch water or argue with gravity. Your force meets something that doesn't fight back because it doesn't need to. Hours pass. Maybe days' time becomes strange when you can't move to mark its passage. You rage against your confinement with the fury of someone who has never been truly helpless. You bargain with the mountain, with Buddha, with the universe itself. You promise to be better, to be wiser, to use your powers more responsibly, if only you can be freed. You shout challenges into the stone, demand explanations for this treatment. Point out the injustice of trapping someone who has achieved so much. Your voice echoes strangely in the confined space, coming back to you distorted and somehow smaller than when it left your lips. You try reasoning with Buddha, though you can no longer sense his presence. Surely this has gone on long enough to make whatever point he intended. Surely he can see that you've learned your lesson about humility. Surely someone with your capabilities deserves a second chance. But the mountain remains patient as stone because it is stone, unmoved by your arguments because mountains don't argue, unimpressed by your powers because mountains have watched empires rise and fall while barely noticing the passage of millennia. The first week feels eternal. Your mind churns through every possible escape scenario. You review every technique you know, every power you've mastered, searching for something you might have overlooked. You compose elaborate speeches you'll deliver to Buddha when this ordeal ends. Explanations of why this punishment is excessive, why your talents are being wasted. Weeks turn into months. You track the changing seasons by subtle variations in temperature and humidity that seep through the stone. Spring brings the scent of growing things. Summer carries the weight of full life. Autumn whispers of completion and release. Winter offers the profound silence of dormancy. You begin to notice that each season affects the mountain differently. Spring rains cause subtle shifts in the stone's temperature. Summer heat makes the granite expand slightly. Autumn winds carry new scents through microscopic cracks. Winter frost creates tiny contractions you can feel against your skin. Slowly, the fighting energy begins to bleed out of you, not because you're defeated, but because you're exhausted. There's only so long you can maintain peak struggle against something that never struggles back. It's like trying to have an argument with silence eventually. The silence wins simply by continuing to be silent. In that growing quiet, you begin to notice things you've never paid attention to before. The way sunlight moves across the mountain face throughout the day, how morning light feels different from afternoon light, how shadows shift and dance in patterns that follow rhythms older than your existence. You notice rain, not as weather to be endured or avoided, but as a phenomenon. The sound it makes against stone, the way it pools and flows and finds its path downward with inevitable persistence, the scent it carries from distant places, the life it brings to small things that grow in cracks between rocks. Your awareness begins to expand in unexpected directions. Confined physically, your consciousness learns to travel in ways you never explored. You become sensitive to the subtle vibrations that travel through stone. The footsteps of small animals, the settling of the mountain itself as temperatures change, the distant rumblings of geological processes that operate on timescales that dwarf your own existence. Time continues its strange new rhythm. Seasons begin to change around you. You watch snowfall and understand for the first time how beautiful silence can. Beach flake, a tiny meditation on uniqueness and impermanence. You see spring return with small flowers pushing up through impossible spaces, not fighting the stone, but somehow existing alongside it. The first year passes, then the second. You begin to understand that you're not waiting for something to end, you're learning to inhabit a completely different way of being. One that doesn't depend on movement or achievement or external validation. This is where the real teaching begins, not in Buddha's words or demonstrations, but in the simple, relentless instruction of being still. For the first time in your existence, you're not going anywhere, you're not achieving anything, you're not proving anything to anyone. You're just here present, aware, unmoving. At first, this feels like torture. Your mind races like a caged animal. It generates elaborate escape plans, imagines distant battles you should be fighting, creates complex scenarios where your intervention is desperately needed. It tells you stories about how your talents are being wasted, how your potential is being squandered, how unfair this whole situation is. You relive every moment of your cosmic journey, every achievement you've earned, every power you've mastered. Your mind insists that someone with your capabilities shouldn't be trapped beneath a mountain. That this stillness is a waste of your extraordinary potential, that the universe needs your active participation to function properly. The mental arguments become incredibly elaborate. You construct detailed philosophical cases for why your punishment exceeds your crime. You imagine conversations with Buddha where you brilliantly demonstrate the flaws in his reasoning. You rehearse speeches that will surely convince him to end this unnecessary confinement. But mountains are excellent teachers of patience. They don't argue with restless minds, they simply continue being mountains until the mind exhausts itself with its own chatter. Gradually, the stories become less compelling, the escape plans feel less urgent, the sense of injustice begins to fade into something quieter. Decades pass. You learn to read the mountain's moods through subtle changes in pressure and temperature. You discover that your confinement has created a unique ecosystem. Small creatures make their homes in the spaces around your body. Plants send roots through cracks in the stone. You become part of a living system rather than its frustrated prisoner. Mice nest in the warm spaces near your shoulders. Birds discover that the area around you provides excellent protection from predators. Insects create colonies in the microclimate your body heat generates. You realize you're providing shelter and stability for dozens of small lives. This observation sparks something unexpected, a sense of purpose that doesn't depend on conquest or achievement. You're contributing to the world simply by being present, not through dramatic action or supernatural intervention, but through the quiet offering of shelter and warmth. You begin to remember Buddha's teaching that peace comes from within, do not seek it without. For years you've been seeking worth and recognition and validation from external sources, from the awe of other monkeys, from celestial positions, from cosmic acknowledgement, always looking outside yourself for proof that you matter. But here under the mountain, there's nothing external to seek, no one to impress, no achievements to unlock, no next level to reach, just you, and the present moment, and the strange discovery that the present moment is actually quite large when you stop trying to escape it. Years pass. You know this, because you've learned to read the mountain's subtle signs. The way certain rocks weather, how particular lichens grow and spread, the patterns of animal migration that bring different creatures to shelter near your resting place. You've become intimate with cycles you never noticed when you were moving too fast to see them. Small animals make their homes in the crevices around you. Birds nest in the sheltered spaces. Plants send roots deep into soil that's formed from countless seasons of fallen leaves. You realize you've become part of an ecosystem, not its king or its master, but simply one element among many, a presence that provides shelter and stability for other forms of life. This realization brings something unexpected, a kind of satisfaction different from any you've ever known. Not the triumph of achievement or the pleasure of recognition, but the quiet contentment of being useful without needing to be special, of contributing without needing credit, of existing in harmony rather than dominance. You begin to understand that your previous restlessness wasn't about needing more challenges, it was about needing to feel connected to something larger than yourself. All your seeking for recognition and status was really seeking for belonging, for evidence that your existence mattered in the grand scheme of things. Here, providing shelter for small creatures, you discover that belonging doesn't require dominance, that contribution doesn't require conquest, that significance doesn't require superiority. You matter not because you're better than other beings, but because you're part of the same web of existence. More time flows past decades now. You've stopped counting, because counting implies waiting for something to end, and gradually you've stopped waiting. This moment, this eternal, ever-changing, present momentas become enough. You begin to understand what Buddha meant about stillness. It's not the absence of movement, it's the presence of being. You're more aware now than you've ever been while racing across galaxies, more conscious than when you were demonstrating your powers, more truly alive than when you were conquering heaven itself. In this enforced quiet, you discover capacities you never knew you possessed. The ability to find fascination in the smallest details, the skill of watching thoughts arise and pass away without needing to act on them, the art of being present without an agenda. These turn out to be powers far more subtle and far more useful than anything you learned through martial training. You develop what you might call patience, vision, the ability to perceive changes that occur over vast timescales. You watch individual stones slowly weather and crumble. You observe the gradual succession of plant communities. You witness the slow dance of erosion and renewal that shapes the mountain's face. A century passes, then another. You've learned to feel the mountain's moods, how it responds to changes in weather, to the cycles of seasons, to the slow movements of geological time. You've become sensitive to things you never noticed before, the way energy flows through the earth, how all living things are connected in an intricate web of mutual dependence. You realize that your previous understanding of power was fundamentally incomplete. You thought power meant the ability to impose your will on the world, to overcome obstacles through force, to make things happen according to your desires. But now, you're beginning to sense a different kind of power, the power of alignment, of moving with natural forces rather than against them, of contributing to the cosmic flow rather than trying to redirect it. You observe how water shapes stone, not through violence, but through persistent, gentle contact, how plants break apart solid rock, not by fighting it, but by growing steadily in the tiniest cracks, how the mountain itself changes and adapts while maintaining its essential nature. 3 centuries into your mountain education, something remarkable happens. You realize you're not suffering anymore. The desperate need to be elsewhere has faded. The angry resistance to your circumstances has dissolved. The constant mental chatter about injustice and wasted potential has quieted to occasional whispers. In its place, you've discovered something you never expected: contentment. Not the temporary satisfaction of achieving a goal, but the deeper peace of being at home in whatever moment you're experiencing. You're still the same being with the same capabilities, but those capabilities are no longer the source of your identity or worth. You begin to understand humility, not as diminishment, but as right-sizing, not making yourself smaller than you are, but seeing yourself accurately within the vast context of existence. Your powers are real and substantial, your achievements are genuine, but they're part of a much larger tapestry threads in an infinite weaving rather than the entire pattern. The 4th century brings deeper insights. You realize that every being you encountered during your journey toward recognition was also struggling with their own sense of worth and place. The celestial guards who dismissed you weren't being cruel, they were following protocols designed to maintain order in a complex system. The Jade Emperor who offered you the position of horsekeeper wasn't insulting you, he was testing whether you sought to serve or to be served. Even your fellow monkeys back on Flower Fruit Mountain. You remember how their simple contentment once seemed inadequate to you, how their acceptance of limitation felt like a lack of ambition. Now you wonder if perhaps they understood something about happiness that you were too busy achieving to notice. Buddha's teaching echoes in your memory. Happiness does not depend on what you have or who you are, it solely relies on what you think. For centuries you thought your happiness depended on external recognition of your worth, on achieving positions that matched your capabilities, on proving your specialness to others. But here, with nothing to achieve and no one to impress, you've found a different kind of happiness, one that doesn't depend on anything outside yourself. You begin to understand that the suffering you experienced came not from your circumstances, but from your resistance to them. The mountain didn't torture you, your refusal to accept. The mountain's reality created your pain. The moment you stopped fighting what was and started learning from it, suffering transformed into teaching. As the 5th century approaches, you feel a shift, beginning not in your circumstances, but in your understanding. The mountain that once felt like a prison now feels like a teacher. The stillness that once tormented you now feels like a gift. The time that once seemed wasted now reveals itself as the most productive period of your existence. You've learned things that no amount of cosmic travel could have taught you. How to be present without needing to be anywhere else. How to find meaning without needing to be special. How to experience worth without needing to prove superiority. How to love your own existence without needing others to validate it. The mountain continues its patient instruction. Seasons cycle through their eternal dance. Life flourishes and fades and flourishes again in the spaces around you. You've become part of this rhythm, not its center, but a participant in something far more beautiful than anything you could have orchestrated alone. And slowly, gently, you begin to sense that your time of learning stillness is approaching its natural completion. Not because you've served a sentence, but because you've absorbed the teaching. Not because you've been punished enough, but because you've been transformed enough. The mountain has done its work. The student is ready for the next lesson. But that transformation hasn't made you eager to leave. Instead, it's made you grateful for every moment of the teaching, grateful for the forced stillness that revealed the richness of presence, grateful for the isolation that taught you the difference between loneliness and solitude, grateful for the time that allowed deep wisdom to grow in the soil of humility. You understand now that the mountain was never your prison, it was your monastery, your university, your garden where the seeds of true understanding could finally take root. Buddha didn't trap you. He gave you exactly what you needed, most the opportunity to discover who you are when you're not trying to prove who you are. 500 years of stillness, 500 years of learning, 500 years of growing in ways that have nothing to do with power and everything to do with wisdom. You are no longer the same being who declared war on heaven, not because you've been diminished, but because you've been refined, purified of the illusions that once drove your restless seeking. The morning comes when you feel the mountain beginning to stir, not with movement, but with the subtle shift that precedes change. Your time of stillness is complete. Your education in presence has reached its natural conclusion. The teacher is preparing to release the student, but release into what? That question no longer carries the desperate urgency it once would have. Whatever comes next will come. You'll meet it with the depth of understanding you've cultivated in stillness, with the wisdom that grows only in the soil of humility, with the peace that comes from knowing your worth doesn't depend on anyone else's recognition. The mountain has taught you its greatest lesson, that true power lies not in the ability to force change, but in the capacity to be fully present with whatever is. That real freedom comes not from escaping limitations, but from transcending the need to escape. That genuine strength emerges not from conquering others, but from making peace with yourself. You are ready for whatever comes next, ready to carry this mountain's wisdom into whatever new adventures await, ready to serve rather than demand service, ready to contribute rather than consume, ready to love rather than prove lovability. The stillness that once felt like death now feels like birth, the end of who you were and the beginning of who you're becoming. Someone who carries the mountain's patience in their heart, someone who has learned the difference between power and wisdom. Someone who knows that the greatest journey isn't to the edge of existence, it's to the center of your own being. And in that center, you found something that was there all along, something that doesn't need to be proven or achieved or recognized, something that simply ices constant as mountains, as patient as stone, as enduring as the earth itself, your true nature, waiting beneath all the achievements and struggles and seeking. Waiting in stillness, the mountain begins to lighten. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but with the same gentle inevitability that marked your long education in stillness. You feel the stone softening around you, releasing its hold, not because it's tired of containing you, but because its work is complete, like a cocoon opening when the butterfly is ready to emerge. You move for the first time in 5 centuries. The sensation is strange. Your body responds exactly as it always has, your supernatural strength intact, your abilities undiminished, but something fundamental has changed in the way you inhabit your own power. It no longer feels like something you possess, it feels like something you're responsible for. Standing free of the mountain's embrace, you take your first look at the world through eyes that have learned to see differently. The landscape hasn't changed, but your perception of it has been utterly transformed. Where once you saw territory to be conquered, you now see interconnected life requiring careful tending. Where once you saw obstacles to overcome, you now see natural flows to align with. Your staff materializes in your hand as it always has, 17,500 pounds, responding to your will. But now you understand something about this weapon that escaped you before. Its power isn't in its ability to destroy or dominate. Its power lies in its capacity to support and protect, to hold up what needs holding, to create space for growth rather than impose control. A memory surfaces from early in your mountain imprisonment, Buddha's quiet words. The true mark of power is not the ability to force others to respect you, but the ability to be of genuine service. At the time, you couldn't understand what he meant. Service felt like diminishment, like accepting a lesser role. Now you realize he was pointing towards something infinitely greater than what you had been seeking. You test your abilities one by one, not to prove their existence, but to understand their transformed purpose. Your 72 transformations flow through you like water finding its natural course. But each form now carries a new meaning. The ability to become a bird isn't about escaping earthbound limitations, it's about seeing from different perspectives. The power to become a fish isn't about conquering aquatic realms, it's about understanding different ways of being. Your speed, once a source of pride in your ability to outrun any pursuit, now reveals itself as a tool for arriving exactly where you're needed. Your strength, once proof of your superiority over cosmic forces, becomes a means of lifting others when they've fallen. Your immortality, once a shield against the ultimate limitation, transforms into the capacity for endless service without the fear of personal loss. This is what Buddha meant by true power. Not the absence of limitation, but the transcendence of the need to be unlimited, not the ability to impose your will on reality, but the wisdom to align your will with the deeper patterns that govern existence, not the capacity to stand above others, but the strength to lift others up. You remember your first glimpse of this understanding during those final months under the mountain watching small creatures make their homes in your vicinity, seeing how your presence provided shelter and stability for other forms of life, feeling useful without needing to be special. That contentment, you now realize, was your first taste of authentic power. The journey back toward inhabited realms feels different from any travel you've ever undertaken. Each step is deliberate, mindful, connected to the earth beneath your feet. You're no longer racing toward a destination. You're moving with a purpose that doesn't depend on arrival, present in each moment of the journey rather than fixated on its end. Along the way, you encounter other beings. A lost traveler struggling with a broken cart. Your first instinct isn't to demonstrate your superior abilities or seek recognition for your help. You simply repair what's broken and continue on your way. The gratitude in the traveler's eyes carries more satisfaction than all the cosmic battles you once won. The repair work feels different now. Where once you might have used overwhelming force to solve the problem, now you work gently, precisely. Your supernatural strength allows you to be incredibly delicate. You fix not just the immediate damage, but strengthen the underlying structure, creating solutions that will endure long after you've moved on. A village plagued by bandits crosses your path. The old you would have swept in like a force of nature, demolished the threat with overwhelming power, and expected worship for your intervention. The new you observes more carefully, studies the situation, addresses not just the symptoms, but the underlying causes that allowed banditry to flourish. You find that the bandits themselves are farmers driven to desperation by drought and failed harvests. Your solution isn't to destroy them, but to help redirect a distant river's flow, bringing water to parched fields. The transformation takes longer than simple conquest would have, but its effects last generations rather than seasons. Working with the natural flow of water rather than against it, you discover new applications for your abilities. Your understanding of geological forces, learned during centuries of mountain communion, guides your efforts. You don't force the river to change course. You create conditions that make the new path more appealing than the old. This is service, not the grudging acceptance of a lesser role, but the conscious choice to use your capabilities for something larger than personal aggrandizement. Not diminishment, but the fulfillment of a deeper purpose that was always there, waiting beneath your ego-driven ambitions. News of your actions spreads, as news always does, but the stories that emerge are different from the legends of your earlier exploits. People don't speak of your power with the mixture of awe and fear they once carried. They speak of your wisdom, your compassion, your ability to see solutions where others see only problems. Young beings seek you out, not to learn techniques of domination, but to understand this different way of wielding ability. You find yourself teaching, not through a demonstration of superior skill, but through patient guidance toward inner understanding. You remember Buddha's gentle instruction and try to offer that same quality of presence to those who come seeking. True strength, you tell a young monkey who reminds you painfully of your former self, isn't measured by what you can force others to do. It's measured by what you can inspire them to become. The words surprise you even as you speak them. Not because they're untrue, but because you can feel how completely you've internalized their meaning. Your former enemies begin to approach you, celestial beings, who once feared your rampage, now seek your counsel. They've heard of your transformation and want to understand how power can be wielded without corruption, how strength can increase without ego, following in proportion, how achievement can satisfy without creating an endless hunger for more. These conversations reveal how rare your transformation actually is. Most beings who achieve great power struggle with the same temptations you once faced. The isolation that comes with capability, the hunger for recognition that grows with achievement, the gradual slide from confidence into arrogance. The Jade Emperor himself eventually requests an audience. You enter his rebuilt throne room, not as a conqueror or a supplicant, but as one being meeting another. His first words surprise you. "I owe you an apology, Sun Wukong. When you first came to heaven, I saw only what you might become, not what you were trying to become. I offered you limitation instead of opportunity. I'm grateful that Buddha was wiser than I was." This moment of recognition feels different from anything you once sought. There's no triumph in it, no sense of vindication, just the quiet satisfaction of understanding, received and shared, Your Majesty. You reply with genuine respect. You gave me exactly what I needed, even if it wasn't what I wanted. Sometimes the greatest gifts look like obstacles until wisdom reveals their true nature. The Emperor nods thoughtfully. And now he asks, what role would suit someone who has learned to wield power with wisdom? You consider the question carefully, not searching for the position that will bring the most prestige or authority, but feeling into what would serve the greater good most effectively. Perhaps you suggest something that allows me to help others navigate the same transformation I've undergone. To serve as a guide for beings struggling with the relationship between ability and responsibility. And so begins your new chapter, not as the great sage equal to heaven, demanding recognition of your superiority, but as something more valuable and more rare. A being who has learned to transform power into wisdom, who has discovered that the greatest achievement isn't conquering others, but mastering yourself, who understands that true freedom comes not from the absence of limitation, but from the transcendence of the need to be unlimited. Your staff, once a weapon of dominance, becomes a tool of construction. Your transformations, once displays of superiority, become a means of understanding different perspectives. Your speed, once proof of your ability to escape any boundary, becomes the capacity to arrive precisely where help is needed. Your immortality, once a shield against loss, becomes an endless opportunity for service. Buddha's teaching echoes in your transformed understanding, just as a mother would protect her only child with her life. Even so, let one cultivate a boundless love towards all beings. You have learned to love your own existence, not because it's superior to others, but because it's part of the same infinite web that includes all existence. Your worth doesn't diminish others, their worth doesn't threaten yours. All are threads in the same cosmic tapestry. Years pass in this new way of being, decades of service, of teaching, of using your extraordinary abilities for purposes that transcend personal glory. And slowly, you begin to understand the deepest truth of all. The power you sought through conquest was always yours. The recognition you demanded through force was always available. The worth you tried to prove through achievement was never in question. You had it backwards. You thought you needed to become special to be valuable. You thought you needed to prove superiority to earn respect. You thought you needed external validation to confirm internal worth. But the truth is simpler and more profound. You were always enough. Your value was never dependent on your achievements. Your worth was never tied to your abilities. Your significance was never measured by your superiority over others. These things were true before you gained supernatural powers. They remained true through all your cosmic adventures. They were true even when you couldn't see them. The mountain taught you stillness, but stillness taught you something even more important. It taught you how to recognize what was always there beneath the seeking and striving and proving. beneath the achievements and failures and transformations, your essential nature, perfect and complete, waiting patiently for you to stop running long enough to notice it. This is true power, not the ability to change external circumstance that remains within your capabilities, but the capacity to remain centered in your essential worth, regardless of what circumstances you encounter, to act from love rather than fear, to serve rather than dominate, to lift others rather than diminish them. You understand now why Buddha smiled when you demanded recognition, not because your seeking was foolish, but because what you sought was already yours, not because your achievements were meaningless, but because your worth never depended on them, not because power corrupts, but because real power heals both the one who wields it and all those it touches. The journey from ego to enlightenment isn't about becoming someone different. It's about remembering who you always were beneath the need to prove and achieve and conquer, beneath the hunger for recognition and validation, beneath all the ways you try to earn your place in existence. You belong here. You always belonged here. Not because you're special, because specialness was never the point. You belong because you are, because existence includes you, because the universe is not complete without your unique participation. This is the path of true power. Walking it with humility, wisdom and love, using your abilities in service of something larger than yourself, finding your worth, not in what you can do, but in who you are. And who you are is enough. It always was. The greatest victory isn't conquering heaven, it's finding peace with earth. The ultimate achievement isn't proving your superiority, it's discovering your connection. The deepest power isn't in the ability to escape Buddha's palm, it's in the recognition that you were never trapped there in the first place. You were always free, you just needed to learn what freedom actually means. And so, dear traveler, the Monkey King's journey comes full circle, from the restless seeking of infinite ego to the profound peace of authentic wisdom, from the desperate need to prove worth to the gentle recognition that worth was never in question, from the exhausting effort to escape limitation to the liberating discovery that true freedom was always within reach. As this ancient story settles into your consciousness like evening mist over still water, allow yourself to recognize the Monkey King within your own experience, that part of you that strives and seeks and sometimes demands recognition for achievements, that restless energy that whispers, "You're not quite enough yet, not quite there yet, not quite worthy of the respect you desire." Feel that familiar hunger with compassion rather than judgment. The Monkey King's journey reminds us that the seeking itself isn't wrong. The desire to grow, to achieve, to become more than we currently are flows from something beautiful within human nature. The challenge lies not in eliminating ambition, but in understanding its deeper purpose. Take a gentle breath now. Let your body sink more deeply into comfort. As you feel the weight of the day beginning to release, like Sun Wukong under his mountain of stillness, you too can learn to be present with whatever this moment brings, without needing to change it, escape it, or prove anything about it. Notice where in your life you might be trying to escape Buddha's palm, those areas where you're certain that just a little more effort, just a little more achievement, just a little more recognition will finally provide the satisfaction you seek. Feel into those places with the same gentle attention Buddha showed to the Monkey King, not to judge or fix, but simply to recognize. Perhaps your palm is the endless scroll of social media where you seek validation through likes and shares and digital applause. Perhaps it's the corporate ladder where you believe the next promotion will finally prove your worth. Perhaps it's the perfect relationship, the ideal body, the flawless performance that will once and for all establish your value. Buddha's teaching whispers gently through Sun Wukong's story. You are enough exactly as you are in this very moment. Not because you've achieved, enough because achievement was never the source of your worth, not because you've proven, Enough because your value doesn't require proof, not because you've earned. Enough because love and belonging are your birthright, not your reward. Let your breathing deepen as this truth settles into the quiet spaces within you. Feel your shoulders releasing tension you didn't know you were carrying. Allow your jaw to soften, your brow to smooth, your entire being to rest in the recognition that you can stop trying so hard. The mountain of stillness that transformed the Monkey King awaits you too, not as punishment or limitation, but as an invitation, the invitation to be fully present with your life as it actually is, rather than as you think it should be, to find the extraordinary within the ordinary, to discover the sacred within the simple. This moment right here, right now, as you listen to these words, is your mountain, your opportunity to practice the stillness that reveals what was always there beneath the seeking and striving and endless effort to become someone worthy of love. You are already complete, already whole, already enough. Feel your body settling deeper into rest. Like the Monkey King learning to be present with the cycles of seasons, you can learn to be present with the natural rhythms of your own being. The inhale and exhale of breath, the gentle slowing of heartbeat as sleep approaches, the soft dissolution of the day's concerns into the embrace of night's peace. Buddha's final teaching echoes through the story and into your dreams. Peace comes from within, do not seek it without. The recognition you seek from others is already available within you. The worth you're trying to prove is already established in the simple fact of your existence. The love you're striving to earn flows freely when you stop demanding it and start allowing it. As consciousness begins to soften around the edges, like watercolors bleeding into each other, carry with you the Monkey King's hard-won wisdom that true power lies not in forcing life to conform to your will, but in aligning your will with life's deeper wisdom, that real freedom comes not from escaping all limitations, but from finding peace within whatever limitations you encounter. Let the story continue to work within you as you drift towards sleep. Allow its truths to seep into the spaces where your deepest fears and hungers live. Let it remind you that every moment of struggle, every experience of feeling not enough, every desperate reach for something beyond your grasp is part of the journey, part of the sacred path that leads from ego to awakening. Your breath grows slower now, deeper, more peaceful. Like the Monkey King, finally learning to rest. In the present moment, you too can rest, can trust, can allow yourself to be held by something larger than your individual efforts. The ancient story lives within you now. Its wisdom becomes part of your own wisdom. Its peace becomes part of your own peace. And as you surrender to sleep's gentle invitation, you carry with you the profound recognition that you have always been enough, you have always belonged, you have always been worthy of love. Rest now in that knowing. Let it surround you like Buddha's infinite compassion, like the mountain's patient teaching, like the eternal embrace of existence itself. You are home, you have always been home, and in this homecoming, may you find the peace that surpasses understanding. Sleep well, beloved traveler. Your journey continues in dreams, and in the morning you will awaken not as someone who must prove their worth, but as someone who knows their worth, not as someone seeking Buddha's palm, but as someone resting in Buddha's wisdom, not as the Monkey King demanding recognition, but as the awakened being offering compassion. The story is complete, the teaching is received, the journey from ego to enlightenment lives within you now. Rest, peace, wisdom.